They have released the dog. I'm Lil Rick the gamer, do it 100% gamer, bro. If no one else working hard, I would do it for the gamer. Yo, can't contain my flow. I need to play a game for sure. Maybe RTS, RPG, or maybe even MMO.
Howdy, and welcome back to another video for Lord of Heroes. Now I need you to hit those like and subscribe buttons as I post content daily. Happy Monday, everybody. Hope y'all guys are doing well and everything. So today we're going to talk about those pesky boss fights. Yeah, those sub bosses and those bosses that you got to deal with in every chapter, and going forward and getting past them, because I know a lot of you've been having issues, especially the people that has been joining up in the Discord, the people that's been in the Discord. You should join our Discord so you can get all the good information as soon as I kind of just think of it, like put it out there or whatever. But that link will be in the description box below, as well as the pinned comment below. Alright, so we got a few things to go over before we just dive right into it. We're going to talk about what's been going on my account and what I've been doing. I'm currently in the final chapter. We can actually go to the world here. Yeah, I'm currently in the final chapter here, cleaning things up. We just had a really amazing boss fight, which you're going to see some of that footage later on in this video. But we still got like a lot of stuff to go back and do, and all of that good stuff. Like, we didn't like fully clear here. We still got to get a full clear over here. Everything else is pretty much taken care of. Like the West Continent taken care of. We just got to hit the Middle Continent and finish off with the East Continent for the most part. But let's go back. Alright, so some of what you're gonna be kind of working towards, especially after chapter 5, because I think chapter 5 is that benchmark where it's like, yo, you need to know what the heck you're doing in this game. You need to actually start fine-tuning and figuring out what you're going to be doing. I know a lot of you have been having questions about, like, what's the best teams, what should I be working on, where do I farm potions, and all of that stuff. Potions is definitely one scarce resource, and that's one that you probably don't want to just, go all willy-nilly. Like I got into a point where I'm a little more conservative, and I'm not trying to just throw all my resources out there, even though I have to do that so I can test these mechanics, so you guys can have this beautiful content that I like to present to you guys, for you to be able to get the best progression. I mean, honestly, it is really difficult doing it mostly free to play like that. We do YouTube full time, but we're not quite at the position where we actually can support ourselves. And by me saying that is, if you are somebody out there that is financially capable and are willing to support me into making more content and better content for the viewership and everybody in this community, please do hit my PayPal link in the description box below. If not, that is fine. That's cool. Let's get back into the video. Alright, so we're gonna go into our heroes here, and we're gonna look at some of the ones that I've been using. Actually, before I even go into the heroes, I'm just going to go to just a random battle or something, a random location, and I just click on anything, so you can kind of just see the team that I'm working with currently. This is the last team that I've been using, and sometimes I'll swap things around. We just got Red Snyder, which you have to pay 100,000 renown to get him. I'm really liking him right now. He's probably a mainstay in the current team and everything. We're going to go over our team and the synergies and everything. We do also have the blue the blue Charlotte that we've been using, and we was kind of swapping in and out between the green Snyder and the blue Charlotte. Green Snyder was the main one in the team, but anytime I came up across a boss, because there's a lot of fire bosses towards chapter 7 and 8, where Green Snyder is just not going to be useful. Like, I did promote him, I think, in the last video, talking about, you know, building him because he's really strong for the chapter 5 boss, and then he's still a strong hero throughout playing because I utilized him so much. But it's just when he's in those disadvantages, I just threw in a second healer because I didn't really have anything else. I mean, I do got Mikhail, but he's mostly damage, and we can go over like some of the skills and everything with the characters here too as well. So let's go ahead and look at our heroes. And I was like definitely heavily using him at first, but if we like go into his skill tree, the first one, his damage increases during his speed. You're not going to have a lot of speed right off, so you're not going to see the DPS that he have. The same thing here, like both of these skills is pretty much the same skill. And then this one, 80% chance to reduce the action gauge by 15% of all enemies. This is actually pretty good, but at the same time, this is his burst skill, and to some degree, this will be something that will be useful. I actually see this being more suited for PvP. I actually think he's a better PvP unit than anything, because you just make him really fast and built on high damage, and he will do well. But as a progression unit, I don't see him fitting that role. So I don't think he should be something that you should build right off. Later on, definitely he's going to be a solid DPS for you. But right now, not so much. Now, my core setup that I've been talking about has been Frem, the red Charlotte, and the green Snyder moving forward. Now let me tell you why starting with Frem. Frem is kind of weird because it's like, let's take a look at her skills real quick. And like, if you look at her main skills, like, alright, her first one here attacks the selected enemy, 50% chance to reduce the enemy's defense for 1 turn. So this death break is really good. This death break, if you can get some good follow-up damage after the death break, it'd be nice if I can get her faster so she can move, like, if not first, maybe second in the rotation on the team. Like, that would be nice. But we'll talk about gear and all of that stuff in a second too. Oh, but that'd be nice. And this is like one of the main reasons why you want her in the main team, is because she gives you this death break, so that's more damage for everybody. And then she has this AoE stun, 30% chance, but this comes clutch when you're doing those boss fights, because the boss generally have 2 to 4 ads that's there with them. So the problem that you're going to be facing is those ads either going to hurt or they're going to heal. And you don't want either one of those things to happen. Sometimes some of them buff and everything too, depending on the boss fight. But I hate the ones that heal, because you can put all that work to the main boss and try to focus them down. But those healers heal, and they healing for more damage than like 2 to 3 of your heroes can do. So it's like all that work is for nothing. So being able to stun is definitely a good thing. Then you have burst, which attack all enemies, 50% chance to reduce the enemy's attack power for 1 turn. This is great as well. Being able to kill everything's attack power, including the boss, is good. Not quite the most important one to use, because Charlotte has an attack break on her first skill, and we can take a look at her on S1 here. Attacks the selected enemy, 50% chance to reduce the attack power for 1 turn. So I'm generally leaning towards this more so than anything on Charlotte. But let's come back to her, because we want to talk about Snyder real quick, and why I believe he's just so good for you starting off in the game. the green Snyder. Alright, his first skill is attack the selected enemy, 50% chance to inflict sap damage for 1 turn. So you get a 50% chance, you get 1 sap, and the sap is pretty much a dot which does a percentage based damage to the enemy. Enough of these stacks can really hurt, and he pairs well with Helga, which we're going to talk about her a little bit down the line too. We got to go through the whole team because I want you guys to really understand the synergies and why this was working for me and how I'm able to kind of like clear some of this content, and I'm slightly weaker than the bosses and everything that we're facing. So, alright, then we got S2 here, attacks all enemies, 25% chance to inflict 2 stacks of sap damage on an enemy for 1 turn. It really sucks that it's only 25%, but it does scale up here to, what's that, 45%. I mean, it would be better if it was 50% or maybe slightly above 50%, but like 2 saps, like when he lands the 2 saps, they can be detrimental, especially if you bring an S1 like right behind it, or you bring Helga to also apply the sap. Alright, so let's go back to our Red Charlotte here. Now, Red Charlotte, I have to say, hands down, is the best early game unit that I have seen so far. Like, it's still a lot that I haven't tested, and some of the heroes that you're going to get, you're going to have to wait a while before you're able to even get them. Like some through the story, some that you can buy, but I think she's hands down, like, she has clutched every boss fight. Like, it took me a while to realize that I had one solid strategy that was working, but let me go ahead and just go over the rest of her skills. We already talked about the first one with the attack break, but her skill 2, which is heals the selected ally in the amount proportionate to the user's attack power, increasing the user's action gauge by 50%. So not only that she heals with this skill, she's making sure she pushed them to get them a turn as well, which is really strong. Now, it is proportionate to her attack, which in these kind of games, I don't know why they give, it's like, okay, I understand they give you to 1, but in this game in particular, most of the healers heal off of attack power, and it's bad. Like in mobile gachas, generally you want a healer to heal based off of their HP for the most part, or even defense. Defense wouldn't be bad either, but generally you want them to heal based off of HP. This game really doesn't give you that, and the reason why is that because you want your healer, your support character, to be tanky to survive. You want them to be able to survive in the fight, and if they can't survive, that is going to be a problem. You want that. So in that instance, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit difficult because you have to build her tanky and still build her with attack power, just so her heals can be strong. Then we can go for her burst skill, which is her #1 skill, and the main reason why she should be the most important unit that you build and work on and put a lot of investment into. And it says heals all allies in amount proportionate to the user's attack power, again, and creates a shield, everybody, based on the user's maximum health that lasts for 2 turns. So you definitely want to give her HP. So she can give you a really solid shield, and it's that shield is that extra layer of protection in these boss fights, because these bosses got hands out here, and when they got these hands, you need that lubrication, because you know they trying to penetrate and they going in raw dog, and if you don't got lube, you gonna get butt fucked, and it's gonna hurt. You trying to ease it up, you know. So yeah, that's just pretty much it, and that's her in a nutshell. So you don't want to have those problems. Alright, so we're gonna go to Zyra here. Zyra is another one that is really good because of her skills that she brings. Her first one attacks the selected enemies, 35% chance to stun them for 1 turn. So this kind of helps too. When I can't get stuns from Fram, I can just like take this sequence. Instead of attacking the boss, I know I got an enemy that's about to get a turn. I take that chance to attack them and see if I can get the stun and stop them from getting a turn, which is very beneficial in the fight. Then we have her dynamic entrance, which says attacks all enemies 50% chance to reduce the enemy's attack power for 1 turn. So now she also has one, but this is her S2 that reduces the attack power. So now this is 3 units in your team that can reduce attack power. That can reduce attack power, and hers is AoE as well. And you'll notice that we have a lot of AoE units in this team. You want as much AoE damage as possible, you know, for wave clearing and just overall progression in general. That's just what you want, and it's going to help and be beneficial in those boss fights. Then on top of that, her burst, which is going to also be helpful, is attacks the selected enemy 70% chance to reduce the defense for 2 turns. 70% is it's quite a bit, so you're gonna have a higher chance, and I guess this goes up to 90. Really, it could have been 100%, but like it's really good because you get 2-turn death break. A 2-turn death break, because the 1 turn, like right now, you can't get everything speed sync properly because gear is trash when you starting off in this game, and gear is like critically important. But having that 2-turn death break is going to be really good, really good. So let's jump into Helga here. Helga, and it says attack the selected enemy, heals the user proportionate to the damage dealt. So you build her as a DPS and she can self-heal, which is really strong. Attacks all enemies, 30% chance to inflict 2 stacks of stat damage on an enemy for 1 turn. So now she has an AoE that also can inflict 2 stats. So you have 2 characters that you can utilize in your team that can inflict sap, which gives you those extra dots to destroy stuff. Then her burst attacks all enemies, 30% chance to inflict 2 stacks of sap, also on her burst. So you got 2 skills that does that, and this one just giving you that extra layer of damage, which makes her pretty good in that regard. So self-heal, damage, like self-heal, dots, damage, great. And then the last one that we had just got, the red Snyder, that I believe that you guys should spend at 100,000 renown to get. First skill, attacks the selected enemy, heals proportionate to the damage dealt. So you got another DPS here that got a self-heal. But this next one attacks all enemies, heals user proportionate to the damage dealt. Heals him into the damage, and he attacks everybody. So all of that damage that he's going to do is going to give him a big heal. So in these boss fights where you got all these enemies, he can pretty much keep himself up, and you're not relying too much on him being healed. You're still going to need to get heals, but you're not relying too much on him being healed, because this still takes 4 turns for it to come off cooldown. And the first skill, even though it does heal, the same with Helga, it's not going to heal a lot unless you're just doing a lot of damage, and at the beginning of the game you're not. Then the last one attacks the selected enemy and envelops the user with thorns buff that damage incoming attacks for 1 turn. So pretty much he puts up a Mail of Thorns, so to speak, if you're familiar with like MMEG, where he has a buff. If he gets attacked, they take damage. So it's just a damage reflect. So that kind of thing. Which is cool. For him to have something like that. But it's mostly the first 2 skills is the big thing. Now we can look at some of our gear here. Let's back up here. Look at some of our gear. Now, I think this is the same gear I had on Fram for the longest. Something that gave her attack, that was for the most part. And then it was a 4-star one, so I leveled it up. Most gear I'm taking to +6 because it's really expensive and it's hard to get gold. So this one, I think it was like the first day of me playing, and I took this to 9 and everything. I was leveling up stuff like crazy. This guy, flat attack, on here, which is fine. This is attack percent. That one's flat attack. We want to talk more about that in the future. I really need to like do the math on like is flat attack better or percent attack better, in what regard. I really need to just like sit back and actually mess around with some gear. This is why I'm saying, like, yo, if somebody want to really help and donate so I can like test a lot of these things out, please do, because it'd be a lot easier for me to do it. Me trying to do it off of almost no resources is a bit difficult, so it might take me longer to really put out content for you guys. And I believe this is the one you get for, this was the pre-registration thing that you get, so that one's that. Then I needed her to have some HP so she can be a little tanky to survive. You can see she's pretty tanky, because surviving is really important. I don't want her to be squished and then die. Same here. We really don't have as much attack as we should have on our Charlotte. We really focused on her HP because that shield is really important, and we're not really worried too much about how strong the heal is because of how we use it. But we got health there, health here, defense, but I guess it was mostly because it was a 5-star and it had a little bit of attack and everything, but it was mostly just because it was strong, and it's a full set, so that gives her the extra defense to, you know, take a bit of hit. Then we got HP percent here, and then we have speed because we definitely want her to be able to move. So fortunately enough, we got speed on our ring there, so we definitely got a life and defense sets on her. That was kind of important. And then this big baby right here, 6-star, and then it has the flat health in there, so it's just trying to get her as tanky as possible. That's what I was worrying about. I really didn't try to focus on super strength. We're not looking at blue. We only took this to +3 because we really just didn't have the resources for him to level everything up, but mostly here who was getting a little bit of health, but was focusing in on getting attack. You can pause the video to see what was on the stats and everything, you know. And then this one just turned out really good. Like, crit damage do nothing for us right now, but it's just the sub stats on here was good. We had some good speed because he takes first turn. He's like my fastest character right now. I really don't want him to be like that, but this is just how we was built him. And then I did kind of put the speed here, but I was like, oh, extra attack here and a little bit of health, and the crit rate doesn't hurt because he needs to crit anyway. But yeah, that's that. And then the other Snyder, which I don't know what I do here. Yeah, it was just whatever I had laying around. I think he was leaning towards being more tanky than actual damage, even though he is one of our damage dealers. It was just the gear that I had at the time. Probably need to change it around because I've been doing some improvements on the gear, but I didn't do nothing for him personally because I knew I was building something else. So some of them have some of the old gear, and we don't really have much. And I've even did a little bit of farming, and I think it was one of the halls, the Hall of Trials, I think it was, where you get the gear from. I think I did a little bit of farming there. I don't really recommend actually farming those, but I did a little bit just because. And then it's mostly because I knew we was going to get stats. I was going to get stats. This is why we put, like, because I would rather have more attack, but like this was too good to pass up and not put on her. So yeah, then we tried to just get our attack in other places with the gear we have. So you would notice that I'm mostly like working with like 2-star gear somewhat. I did do a gacha pull to get some more gear, but mostly for the most part, like 2-star gear and everything. Then if you've been watching as I've been kind of like poking in and out some of the video footage from the boss battle that I was doing, you would notice that I only spam for the most part the Red Charlotte's skill. The Red Charlotte's burst skill. Like, you'll notice that for the most part. That's what I've been working on. was just focusing and utilizing that, and that was like pretty much the main strategy to keep our shield up, so we have it up like every time she gets a turn. The only time I don't is when I count enough turns knowing the boss won't have a skill or won't be able to hurt us really bad, and I do somebody else's burst instead. But other than that, it's just focusing on getting her burst off. So this was a pretty long one, and I like to get out a lot of information all at one time and break everything down to be concise so you can understand and fine-tune. I don't do half-ass videos, so I'm just letting y'all know. So if you have enjoyed, make sure you smash that like button. If you didn't, there is a button for you guys as well, linked to our Discord where we talk about this game and other games we play will be in the description box below, as well as the pinned comment below. Subscribe if you're new here. Turn those post notifications on so you can see my content when it goes live first, people. And this is your host, Gamer Dude 2088, and I will see you next time. And I'm out. Deuces.